Okay, the last method for white underbase generation is importing white layer. So there's two ways to do this. The first way is to generate your design in whatever program you want, save that, and then manipulate the white, make a white layer for it and save that. The only thing is both layers have to be identical in dimensions and everything else. So if it's not, it may not work properly. So what I find works a little bit better for this particular tool is if you bring in an image in and then you import your image, generate your white layer, you can actually export that white layer, then edit that in Photoshop. Now, why would you want to do that? Well, let's just say a customer gives you a file and that file has a white background, but it's very intricate and there's no way you can redraw it efficiently or anything of that nature. So this is a good way to be able to remove that white background and then also import the image back in. So I'm going to show you what I mean, because what I'm going to do is let me go ahead and just import the image I'm talking about. Okay, so we have this design. Now this has a white background to it. If I was to just generate the white, like an entire image, the whole white would be a big square or big rectangle. I don't want that. So what I want to do is I want to remove this white background first. So if I didn't do this in Photoshop or anything like that, I could. Or I could just do it in here as well. And this just gives you the idea that you can do a lot more than that than with just this particular design. This is a simple design I probably would do in Photoshop to begin with. But it gives you an idea of what you can do. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to first start out with generating my white layer by using my background color. I'm going to select my background color and I'm going to choose this white area. Now you can see my threshold was way too much. It just retained it from the last time. So we're going to just bring this back down to about 8. All right. And we're going to hit OK. Now what it's done is you can see all these areas should be 100% black or black so that it'll print white. Again, we're working in reverse. So I got rid of the background, but because there was white in my design, it also got rid of that. Plus I have this outline around there that around the design I probably want to remove. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just right click on this. I'm going to export my white layer. And then I'm just going to name it. Let's just call it Escher White and save. Get out of that preview. We're going to go open up Photoshop. And we're going to go ahead and open up that file. Now you can see all these areas need fixed. But this is a solid graphic. So what I'm going to do in Photoshop is I'm going to unlock my layer with my windows under layers exposed. I'm just going to click on the lock, which will unlock it. And then I'm going to take my magic wand tool. I'm going to turn off anti-aliasing. Anti-alias basically in Photoshop, with that, well, really anything, but in Photoshop what it's going to do is it's going to, well, let's just zoom in and I'll show you what it's going to do. We're going to go to, let's just take this up higher so you can see it. So you can see what it does is it starts to eat into the edge. In this case, my tolerance is way too high. It's pulling too much. But it's basically anti-alias is not going to just select the sharp edge. It's going to select the sharp edge and then work its way in a little bit more. So I want to turn that off so I get a nice hard edge, because I want to be able to control that myself. So I'm going to turn anti-alias off. I'm going to set my tolerance back down pretty low. And then I'm going to make sure that contiguous is unchecked. What contiguous is basically when I do a selection, it's going to select anything next that it's touching next to it in that area. So if I uncheck contiguous, if I was to choose this white area, you can see it's not choosing those white areas inside. So I want to uncheck contiguous, and when I click on that, you can see my selection is everywhere. And then I'm just going to choose the delete key, and everything becomes transparent. All right. I'm going to zoom in right here, and then I'm just going to put a guide right here real quick. I don't want my what I'm going to do is I'm going to fill all this black in. You know, if I want to zoom in, you can see, you know, all these areas need filled in black, and that's a lot of work to do with a paintbrush or anything like that. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm just going to draw a box behind it and fill it. But I don't want that white layer to go beyond my image. That's why I'm zooming in here real quick, so that I can put some guides on there so I know where I'm going to draw my box. Okay, and let's go ahead and do that on this side too. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and draw a box where these guides are. I'm going to create a new layer, put that behind, select my fill tool, my paint bucket tool, and it's going to be black, and I'm just going to click in that area. Now you can see all those areas are filled in, and then I want to also fill in these areas. So I'm just going to draw around it here using my lasso tool. Go ahead and fill that. And then we're going to go ahead and do that for our other area here. And then I probably have something down here. I'll go ahead and fill that in. Okay. So now we can see the fill in, and then basically all we're going to do at this stage is, let me remove these out of here so I can see what I'm doing. So now all I'm going to do is I'm going to flatten the design, because I had a flat image before, and then I want a flat image afterwards. But actually, now that I think about it, first I can see this black outline, so that's going to give a white outline. If the color covers it, that's fine, but chances are it won't, because the white layer generation didn't dig deep into it. I didn't want it to, so I'm going to manually do my own choke. So what I'm going to do, instead of flattening it first, let me go ahead and merge my channel, so it's one, or my layer, so that's just one layer instead. Now I'm going to select my magic wand tool, and now I'm going to click again on my transparent area, and everything is selected. And then I want to expand my selection, so I'm going to modify expand. I'm going to go 1 pixel at a time, because I want to see how far that goes in. So actually 1 pixel here looks like it goes in pretty deep. Let's look up here. It's all pretty good. Now if I want to be safe, this is not a real small design. There we go. We can see a little bit here. So let's just do 1 more pixel. So I'm going to expand 1 more time. There we go. And then I'm just going to hit the delete key. Now you're not going to want to do this with a small lettering or anything like that. You don't want to remove too many pixels, so you might have to edit your file a little bit differently. Okay, so anyway, now that we're there, we're going to go ahead and go to our layers and flatten the image, and then we're just going to save. Okay, so now that we have that, we're just going to go back in here. We can see this is our white layer, our color layer, and of course our preview. So we're going to go back to our method for white layer generation. We're going to import my white layer now, create under base. It's going to say, okay, where is the file? And we're just going to choose that new file. And now you can see it filled in very nicely for us. There's our white layer, our color layer, and our preview.